This is the first of a multi-part series on stress. Today we are focusing on understanding what stress is instead of trying to eliminate it. If you're new to my videos, welcome. I'm Chelsy Castro, lawyer turned psychotherapist on a mission to help you work, live, and feel better. So let's dive right in. Stress gets a bad rap. Our current well-being culture often focuses on eliminating stress. Now, while there are certainly good intentions there, attempts at eliminating stress are a band-aid instead of a solution and can even cause more stress. And yes, I did just say that trying to eliminate stress can cause more stress, but bear with me here. First, let's talk about brain science. As humans, we are inherently wired for stress. Our brain's primary objective is to keep us alive, and stress, often referred to as fight or flight response, is our brain's way of doing this. Way back when, in what we'll just call caveman days, a stress response helped us survive an attack from a predator, like a saber-toothed tiger, by preparing our bodies to fight or run away. Our brains still do this today, even though we are no longer at risk for encountering a saber-toothed tiger who wants to have us for lunch. And well, as a side note, if you are seeing saber-toothed tigers, please do let me know, because that is a whole other conversation. So, moving on. We still have a stress response, but in modern times, our brains are responding to invisible saber-toothed tigers, like a looming deadline or an upcoming interview, or rehashing a fight with a friend or colleague, or even consuming upsetting news. You get what I'm getting at. Our brains do not know the difference and treat all of it like an attack. So the brain responds as if it is being attacked. The problem is not that the brain has a stress response. The problem is what happens afterwards. It's what we do when we enter a stress response. It's how we respond once our brains register something as a threat. Going even further, experiencing that stress response in modern day isn't even actually a bad thing. Studies have found that acute or optimum stress, aka stress in small bursts, can improve the brain function and alertness and memory and other cognitive functions by triggering the birth of new neurons. Stress can be something that makes you better, but it is a question of how much stress, for how long, and here's the really important part, what you do with the stress. So going back for a moment to trying to eliminate stress and causing more stress, one, uncomfortable situations that induce a response to brain are a normal part of our lives, so stress is impossible to eliminate. Two, our brains are wired for a stress response, so no matter how posh your life, you cannot get away from stress. Three, some stress is good for you. And four, when efforts at eliminating stress don't work, we often feel more stress because we interpret it as a failure. When really it is not a failure, but rather just a flawed approach at a desire to feel better. We still usually interpret it as failure. Okay, so here's where the rubber meets the road. Do not try to eliminate stress. Instead, understand what stress is and challenge your current patterns of responding to it. You have a choice in how you respond when your brain registers a stressor. And let me tell you, you do not need to be in an anxiety attack mode to be experiencing a stress response. We have been acculturated socially to hide many of our natural stress responses. It is key for you to get in tune with how your brain and body register this so that you know when you are dealing with a stressor. For most of us, it is not as obvious as we may think. Also, many of us are in environments where being under significant stress is actually the norm. So we look around and we see everyone else behaving in a similar way, perhaps responding to stressors in a similar way, probably unhealthy, and that we subconsciously register something that is common as something that is an acceptable status quo. You do not have to accept the status quo. You can choose to respond to stress differently. Stress doesn't have to be something that just happens to you. And that is what this series is all about. Stress is going to happen, and you have a choice in how you respond. You do not have to be a victim or survivor or avoider of stress. You can be someone who manages stress in helpful instead of harmful ways. So what can you do today? Now that you have a bit of understanding of the brain science of stress, you can do some data collection on yourself and about your stress reaction patterns. In preparation for the next video in the series, start keeping a log of how your body and brain respond to stress. What specific stressors elicit responses most often in your life? How do you know that you are stressing? Is it the type of thoughts running through your mind? Do you socialize less? Do your eating and sleeping habits change? Do you have trouble concentrating? Gathering this data set will set the stage for the skills that we will work on in the upcoming videos in our stress series. That's it for now. Until next time, take care.